Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to modify our scratch org definition file so that we can create a scratch org as per our need. Then we are going to create a scratch org, open that scratch org, and then we are going to have the org tool for our scratch org. So these are the things that we are going to do in this video. We have already authorized with the dev hub, so we don't need to authorize. We are going to skip this part from this walkthrough. We are going to create a scratch org and then we are going to open the scratch org. So let's quickly see what are all the commands to do that. If you wanted to do with your own, you wanted to create a command, basically you wanted to use the commands instead of using the tools or using the command palette that we are using, you can use this is the command like force colon org colon create. You already know from where we can get all those commands. This is the path of our configuration file. Config folder we have already seen and the name of our JSON file. Then what is going to be the alias of our org? We say that deployment demo. How many days you want this org to be active? I said 1. And then default username we need to set as a default username. So now here you see the difference. Whenever we are working with DevHub, we are saying that set default DevHub username. But if we are creating a scratch org, which is a default scratch org, we will say that set default username. We will not set default DevHub. And then what is a log? It is going to be JSON. Okay. And for opening, it is very simple command which is saying SFDX force colon org colon open, and whatever the org alias you have given over here like deployment demo. So now let's quickly see how we can do that. Before we do that, let's quickly see how we can create our own scratch org definition. So if you wanted to modify your scratch org, what you need to search for is scratch org config file. Once you search, this is the first link that you need to open. I've already opened this, which is saying that build your own scratch org definition file. So we can have multiple things like we have editions. If you see here, by default it is going to have developer edition in your file. If you go over here, you see developer edition. You can change it to enterprise, group or professional based on your need. We are going to use enterprise. You can just go ahead and change this to enterprise. You can change the name of your company. I'm going to say that the name of my company is going to be TechFuse India Private Limited. And then these are the features. What are all features we can enable, like B2B commerce, person accounts, multi-currency, Salesforce communities. There are n number of information that we can enable over here with the help of these features. So if you scroll down over here, you see that there are multiple things. Like we have got org name, country. You don't need to define the username, admin email. This edition is required. If you wanted to have some description, you can have the description of your scratch org as well. You can say that created for user story, whatever the user story number is, and then provide a valid comma. Then you can go here, hide sample data. We don't have valid true, default is false, which creates an org without sample data. We can try to have this had sample data true, and we will say what happens. Either we are able to create org or not. Then you have got languages, features, release. If you have some release, you can also put that. It is saying that current or previous. Basically, these are the two options. We have settings, object settings, where we can define OWD for our object, the custom object API name if we have, and then we can also give the source org. Source org means our parent org from where we wanted to create the scratch org. It is saying that none 15 character source org ID. Use only if you are using scratch or using org safe for scratch org. So we are not using org safe, will not be working on that. This is the simple file you see here. Org name is Acme. Edison Enterprise. Features or communities, Service Cloud, Chatbot. If you scroll down below, you will see some other changes as well, like omni-channel is enabled. If you see here, there are object settings as well, like for opportunity sharing model is private, default record type is default. For account, default record type is default. If you wanted to learn more about scratch.org features, just click on this link, and then this is going to give you the features like you will have over here. You say author effects, B2C B2B commerce, then you have communities, you have CPQ, you have some Pardot as well. So if you see here, we don't see. We had a Pardot over here, but for now I'm not able to see. Okay, we have got B2B. Then if we want to see, we don't have B2C, right? So these are kind of things. We have person accounts. So if you wanted to see person accounts, we have got person accounts. We've got platform cache, platform encryption. So these are all the various options or features which we can enable, and the benefit is like for person account we need to contact to Salesforce where we have to give them the org id and wait for a day or two to enable the person account. So we can enable directly in the scratch org. Similarly, if we wanted to give the or we wanted to have the B2B commerce license, right? We can use this B2B commerce, and then we will immediately get the license. We don't need to worry about that. Now let's quickly see here. I have got a very sample file. I will just use this. Okay, I will copy paste over here. Now this is a sample file which I am going to use for this demo purpose. You will also get this sample file uh, inside the project. You don't need to worry about that. Features or communities, service cloud, person accounts, multi-currency, and B2B commerce. I have given some settings like enable network. These are some encryption. Omni-channel is also enabled, and some sharing models. Now, if you remember, there are two fields which we have created. So we can give the value for those two fields as well. Okay. So to give the value, what we need to have is we need to provide the API name. So it is release. There was a release one, so I'll say that release 1.2.3. Okay. Then there was one user story. So for that, we will get back to our Salesforce org, and we'll find what our API name for that is. So this is user story. I'll say user story, and I'm going to provide some random number 2331. Now our scratch org is ready. So what we need to do is just use hotkeys Control Shift P or Command Shift P, and then this time search for create a default. So you will see an option called create a default scratch org. Select that. It will ask what is your definition file. So by default it will ask this one. Select that. Then it will ask what is the name of your org. So you can see by default it is saying that scratch org deployment. I'll say okay, that is fine for me. How many number of days you want your scratch org to be active? Maximum we can provide 30. So I'll provide 30. Hit enter. Now you see this is the same command that we are able to see over here. It is going to run the command enable all these features, and once all these features are enabled, it is going to create an scratch org. Otherwise it is going to give us the error. We are getting an error. What error is it? In a JSON input must have heads down camel case. Okay, it is saying that release. Yeah, so the reason is it should always be starting from a lower camel case. So it should be release small r, it should be user story small u. That is what our error was. So again we'll get back and we'll just hit enter with all the values that we had, and this time we see if our scratch org is created. Now you can see it is saying that ended with exit code 0, and if you see over here we have got scratch org deployment, which is our default scratch org. That means we were able to create the scratch org. If you click on this is saying open scratch org. It is going to open your scratch org. In the meantime it is opening, we can get back to our main org where we were talking about all the scratch org. So if we get back to our main org, this is our scratch org infos. We will go to the my scratch org infos, or we can even go to the all scratch org. You can see this is 0010. If you open this, because this is the one which we have created, You will be able to see everything, the release, the user story, and whatever all the information is. Now, as we have seen, our Scratch org is already opened. You can see we have got every single thing. We talked about enabling the person account. If you go to the account, click on new, you see you have got person account and business account. These are the two record types. If you select person account, you will be able to see the information related to a person account instead of a business account. So that is the one feature which we have enabled. If you see, we have got account name which is saying that Mr. or whatever, first name, last name. We have also enabled multi-currency. That is why this currency is appearing up over here as a field. Then we have talked about the org, what kind of org it is. So it is going to be a sandbox. From here you are not able to see either it is a sandbox or not. So if you switch to classic to know if it is a sandbox org or not, go there and switch to classic, and once you will switch to classic, you will be able to see that this is a sandbox org. And if you search for company information, you search for company information, and once you hit the company information under your company settings, you will be able to see like currency is enabled. Okay, you will see Salesforce, 5 licenses are there. Out of 5 licenses, 2 are being used. That means you can also create 3 additional users of Salesforce. Then you see B2B licenses are here. That means we are able to give the B2B license as well. We have got some health cloud licenses as well. If you wanted to see some storage information, you can just go to the storage section, and you will see that storage is also way better than or way more than the actual developer environment that we get, like 200 MB, 50 MB, and up to 1 lakh big objects. So this is about your, we have said we have enabled digital experience which are communities. So if you see, it is already enabled. If you talk about omni-channel, we have already enabled omni-channel. So you see here we have got every single thing over here. So basically this is how you create a scratch org, and that is how, or we say that, so much powerful a scratch org is. So this is it for this video. Thank you for your time, and in the next video we'll talk more about scratch org, like pushing the data to scratch org and pulling the data from scratch org. Thank you.